Good morning. It's sunny for once. We've had so much rain in Sydney that I haven't actually been out on my bike for the last, I would say, 4 weeks. But I've had the bike nearly a year now, maybe 11 months, and I've just done the 1,000 kilometers running period. So what I thought I'd do is I'd do a quick 1 year and 1,000 kilometer update on it, a little bit about my thoughts over the bike so far, and you know, just some general what I like and not what I don't like, but some watch outs in case somebody's thinking of buying one. So thanks for watching. So just to recap, this is a 2021 Ducati V4S. The difference with the S is it's got the Öhlins active suspension. You can only get it in red. Originally I had a 959 which was white, which I really loved, but this one only came in red. At the time I was a little bit unsure, but it's grown on me and I absolutely love it. So the modifications I made to it when I got it, as most bikes, they've got huge massive tails on the back. I changed that for the EvoTech version, and I also changed it to the Ducati dynamic headlights, side indicators. So that was the first thing I did. I then put a tank protector on, which was just sticking it on, which was pretty easy. And then around the side, what I did was put the radiator, and for the oil and for the water I put a protector on from EvoTech. That was a bit of a bitch to fit. It took me 5 hours. You basically have to dismantle the whole fairing to get the radiator fixings off, so you can move them back, so you can slide those guards in front of the frame. So it's not an easy job, but I would suggest if you're going to do it, try and do it yourself, because you don't really want to pay somebody to do it for you. So first of all, the reasons why I bought it, just a bit of a recap. As you know, I had on my other videos I had a 959, a white one, and I took it in for a 3-year scheduled service. And at the time when I did the video of one of the reasons why I bought this bike, I was a little bit angry, to be honest, and I didn't really want to share my thoughts. But basically what happened was I took it in for the service and they didn't put any oil in it. So when I drove away from the dealership, the engine seized up. I had a brand new rear tyre put on it. So basically I was sliding down the road sideways. I managed to keep the bike upright, pulled it over to the side. They took it into the shop and they confirmed, yep, there's no oil in it. They had to take the engine apart and they said I needed a new crank, new bearings, and lots of other stuff to fix it, and it all had to come from Italy, so they just didn't know roughly you know, when that would arrive. So what I said to them was, look, you know, I was really angry, and I just said, look, you know, at the end of the day, the bike's 3 years old. I was considering upgrading it, and so it wasn't the right time because we just bought the Mercedes. But so yeah, so I just said, look, what can you do for me? And at the time they said, yeah, you know, we'll look after you. The bikes, this one is like $42,000 and my 959 was 20. They offered me what they said was a really good trade-in price, and they knocked a lot, like $1,000 off the price of this bike. So I still had to end up paying $24,000 for the inconvenience of having not having an engine rebuild and getting the bike back, because the 959 was a little bit, I'd say, you know, at low revs it was a bit juddery, it was a bit raw, and I would just be thinking all the time, is there something wrong with the bike? And I just didn't want to see it again. I just didn't want it. So, and then what's happened, obviously, with cars and bikes are the same, second-hand prices have gone through the roof, so they've actually made money out of me, and I've had the inconvenience, so I was a little bit pissed off for a while with that. The other thing as well, which I wanted, was when I then thought, well, I'm definitely going to get a new bike, I looked at the V4SP, and that was $55,000, so that was a massive amount more money, but it was an amazing bike. Carbon fiber wheels, the black testing livery, I loved it, but I could not get one for love or money. All the orders for Australia had been sold. So I ended up with the V4S, and you know, like I said, it's worked out because I love it. I love it. So I suppose the first one, it brings me on to the first observation I've got with the bike in general, and it's really a hit at Ducati, because in 2020 they had the V4, the V4S, and then in 2021 they updated it, and see, these are some of the updates which they did. So the first thing that they added were these winglets, which looks pretty cool. I mean, I've added the Italian flag on there myself, that comes from the SP, and what they also did was they added these shark fins in the fairing, which also look pretty cool. And then they also modified some of the electronics, so the bike was a little bit smoother. So this in essence was the updated 2021 model, and I just thought, oh, you know, that's great, so so that's why I bought it. And then what's happened this year is they've suddenly brought out another version of the V4S, which has got more shark grills on the bottom. It's got a new seat, it's got new graphics, and it's also, they've updated the software on it again. So my bike, although I bought it as a 2021 model and I just thought, oh, this is great because it's a new model, it's now not the new model, and Ducati's updated it in 3 years in a row. And to be honest, I would have been really pissed if I had bought the SP, because they've gone and done that with the SP as well. They've gone and updated that to the next version for this year, and if I'd paid 55 grand and Ducati had updated it, I would have been really upset. So unfortunately, I'm the type of person that I like new things, I like new models. I'm one of those idiots that buys the new iPhone every year, but it's just the way I am, right? And if I like them and I can afford to do it, then I'll do it. So that's a hit at Ducati, really. Is just a little bit pissed off that they are now seeming to continuously change their models and update them every year, where other manufacturers may just change colours and graphics. So that's the first thing which I've noticed about Ducati recently. So that brings me on to the next item, I suppose, with Ducati is, in the past they relied on a dealership called Fraser's to import all their motorcycles, and then Fraser's would give those motorcycles out to other dealers. So you were really limited in terms of a dealer network in Sydney. So Fraser's are absolutely shit at communication. They're just terrible. They just never answer the phone. You can never speak to anybody. And I just refused to buy a bike from them because it's one-way communication. And then the other dealer is Sydney City Motorcycles, which is not too far from where I live, so I end up going there. But what's happened now is Ducati are actually decided to import all of these themselves, and they've set up a new state-of-the-art showroom and service centre. That's somewhere down near the city. So that's going to be interesting, because hopefully I might get a better service, and you know, again, one of my bikes had no oil in it, and then from this other service perspective is when I bought the bike, and I bought it new, when I picked it up, there's another video where the fan was always on, and the bike stalled. And when I took the fairings off to do the oil covers, I'll put some photos in now of the coolant has got two tanks either side, and the coolant flows from left to right into the tanks. And what I saw was they were virtually empty. And when I took it back, they said, "Oh yeah, it's a bit low." And I was just a bit pissed off, because obviously what they've done, they're so lazy, is that they hadn't even PDI'd it properly, and they just let it go from the factory as it was, and then that's the items that they then pick up at the first service. So that's just lazy. So again, the dealers and the servicing are pretty poor in Sydney. So hopefully you know, the new Ducati showroom and service centre will be great, and I'll try them out. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll start with what I don't like or about the bike, and this is one of them. So this is a broken mirror, and they say that this is made in Italy, but again, these wing mirrors are so fragile. What I've done is getting them in and out of the shed. I've snapped one off, and this is the first one I've done for this bike, and I actually snapped two off But I snapped one myself, and somebody snapped the other one off on my 959. So the mirrors do not fold, they're really fragile, and on this particular bike they're over $300 per mirror. So that's the first one I don't like, is they haven't updated these mirrors, and they are super fragile and super expensive to change. The next one is the same thing everybody moans about, is no fuel gauge. You don't get a fuel gauge at all with this bike. But what I will say is that the fuel economy is actually really good. It's far better than my 959. I use a petrol can to fill it up between bike rides, and I'm actually using less fuel. I mean, I actually don't know what the miles per gallon is, but it seems to be a lot more economical. The next one, which is an issue, is always the elephant in the room with a Ducati, is the heat. This is as hot, if not hotter, than my 959. I don't care what people say, you have to wear leathers with this bike. I've driven it on motorways, I've driven it through town, and I've driven it on twisters, and if the bike's moving on twisters and the freeway, then it's not a problem. But as soon as you get it into town and you just start you know, first, second gear, moving backwards and forwards, this thing heats up like there's no tomorrow. And especially in this region here, in the inside of your thighs, they will burn if you do not have protection on. So it is an issue, but at the end of the day, it's a sports bike, it's a race bike, and no one, and that's why they've tried to put those grills in to try and cool it down. But I won't get away, I won't lie to you, this bike gets hot. And the last thing, I mean, I've mentioned about what annoys me about Ducati in general, changing their designs, but the last one which bugs me, which I can't get to work for some reason, is the headlights. So you've got daytime running lights, which I'll just turn on. So this is to turn the lights on, so the lights are on. So the daytime running lights are awesome, they're really good, but what I'll do is if I put it onto high beam, if I can find the switch, you can see it's got two round bulbs in the headlights. That's on high beam. What tends to happen is at night time, when the headlight just comes on automatically, you get just one of the lights come on, and that's historically, you know, that's what's happened on superbikes. They tend to just only had one light on. It just pisses me off. I don't know why they just don't put two lights on. My 959 had two lights. It just looks far better. It just looks stupid driving around at night or in the dark with one headlight on. But anyway, that's just an annoying feature. So that's what I mean by the headlight. It just comes on, so when the engine's running, it's only a single headlight, which just looks bloody stupid. I don't know why they just didn't have two. And then the last one, is somebody pointed out on one of my other videos, is this, it's prepared for heated grips, but you actually don't get heated grips with them. It's an optional extra. So yeah, and for the V4S, $42,000, and you don't get any carbon fiber, none of the winglets, none of the front mudguard, nothing on the back, no carbon fiber at all. So yeah, 42 grand for a motorcycle is a lot of money, and all you get really is the active suspension. So to be honest, that is the only things I actually don't really like, or I've got an opinion about the bike. So let's move on to the items which I do like. So the next one, the obvious one to like about this bike, is the looks. The bike is just stunningly beautiful, and you know, you fall in love with the Ducati brand, which I did, so that's the reason why I bought one. Even though, you know, there's all those issues with, which I say with Ducati, the ownership of it is quite straightforward. There's not really been a lot wrong with my 959, there's not a lot been wrong with this one really. But the looks, the stunning, and they just make people notice that you've got a Ducati. So that's one of the things which I absolutely love about the bike. So that's that one. I mentioned before, the active suspension. I mean, the handling on this thing is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. And that's the active suspension on the rear. And then when we go up, the active suspension on the front and the active damper. And you know it's a V4S because it's got gold forks. So yeah, the handling is just amazing. It just, you plant it, you put it, it goes, and I love it. And it's a lot softer ride than my 959. The bike is maybe a bit taller and a lot wider, but yeah, the handling is amazing and far better than the 959. So the other one is the power delivery. I mean, this is a powerful motorbike. I mean, it's amazing. It's certainly got enough grunt, and I love that you've got the power there. I mean, I've been running it in, but if you want the power's there. It's awesome, and it's not scary either, which is great. So somebody that's an inexperienced rider as such, do not be afraid to buy this bike, because you know, the power is there stupidly if you want to be stupid with it, if that makes sense. So do not be scared by the amount of power this bike has got, because the technology and the electronics, you just put everything on safe, and you have a very enjoyable ride. And then the last one, I suppose, is the sound. I mean, I'll start it up, but this thing is amazing. It's still got the standard exhausts. There you go, hasn't been started for 4 weeks. Let's try it again. So, seeing as I had difficulty starting the bike, I thought, well, I better take it for a quick spin just to get it all up and running again. We've had so much rain in Sydney since the beginning of the year. I mean, it's been relentless, and everything is just damp. It's horrible. And I don't particularly like going out riding when it's damp and wet, so I just haven't ridden it. And I've been away as well for nearly 3 weeks. So really, just to end the video on the review, 1,000 kilometre running period. I've had it 11 months. Would I buy this bike again? Absolutely. I mean, it's awesome. And it's a powerful bike. It's got the power, it's got everything that you want, but it's so forgiving at the same time, and it's so easy to ride. It's user friendly, and just some other bits. You know, you do the sound. It takes getting used to, because it's a V4, and when it's at low speeds or when it's at the lights and it's stopped, it does drop cylinders, and that takes some getting used to. Just the sound. The kickstand to me seems a bit shorter than my 959, so when I first got the bike I thought the bike was going to fall over, but it's not, and like I said, that takes some getting used to, but that's cool.
The bike takes 95 RON rated fuel, not 98 like my 959, so that was the difference that you have to factor in. And also just because of COVID and because of the rain and everything we've had, I mean this bike's done 1,000 kilometers in essentially 11 months, whereas my 959 I did 12,000 in 3 years. And what happened because of the lockdown and when I got the bike is 3 months went by, and the bike has to be serviced within 3 months or a certain amount of kilometers. I can't remember what it was. So the bike had only done something like 70 kilometers and they wanted me to get it serviced. Well, which to me was a bit crazy, but anyway, so that's the other thing to watch out for, is that, you know, you have to get it done within that 3 month period because of the warranty. But dealership issues aside, the bike is just amazing. It sounds amazing. I'm still undecided whether to put an acrylic exhaust on it. If I do, I'll just put a slip-on. I'm not going to go full titanium because the price over here is like $8,000. And to be honest, I'd rather put that towards an SP and get a bike with carbon fibre everything. So if I'm going to do it, I'll like I said, I'll just do the slip-ons because it's more affordable. It's still $5,000, but you know, I'll let me wait and see. Like I said, I just don't know. I don't know whether I can justify putting that extra kit onto a bike which already sounds and looks amazing. So traffic looks pretty shit today, but I'm not going to go very far. I just want to get the bike battery charged up a bit, get the oils moving around, because this poor thing's been stuck there for 4 or 5 weeks not doing anything. So again, please subscribe if you like this video. I've got loads of other videos on the bikes, cars, scuba diving. It's a very random channel, but I hope you get some information out of it. And if you've got any questions about the V4S, please just leave me in the comments and I will come back to you. So again, thanks very much for everyone that has subscribed, and thanks to everyone that actually takes the time to watch it. Thanks a lot.